To avoid fractures, the research team said the elderly can take several measures, such as consuming sufficient calcium, vitamin D, and protein to support bone health and muscle growth. Mimosa Ngai, TVB News.
Foreign Minister Wang Yi said he's most impressed by how supportive all Australian sectors are on the strengthening of bilateral relations and cooperations in various fields. He will conclude his 5-day trip to New Zealand and Australia and head back to China this evening.
Hello and welcome to TVB News. The Hong Kong Metropolitan University has become the first local applied sciences university. The Education Bureau today revealed some other institutions have expressed interest in becoming a UAS. Mimosa Ngai reports. The South Korean government announced today it will start suspending licenses of striking junior doctors beginning next week for violating the government's back-to-work order. Former Indonesian Defense Minister Prabowo Subianto was announced the winner of last month's presidential election late Wednesday. Chinese President Xi Jinping congratulated Indonesia's new president, pointing out that China and Indonesia are traditional friendly neighbors. Subianto was running against two former governors who have contested the result in court over alleged irregularities. Tracy Furness has more. U.S. Federal Reserve officials signaled they still expect to cut their key interest rate 3 times in 2024. Despite signs that inflation was surprisingly high at the start of the year, the Fed predicted fewer rate cuts in 2025 and slightly raised their inflation forecasts. After ending their latest meeting, the officials kept their benchmark rate unchanged for a 5th straight time. Still, Fed Chairman Jerome Powell noted inflation is still too high and that the path forward is uncertain. U.S. President Joe Biden has been in the battleground state of Arizona, where billions in tech grants will bring tens of thousands of new jobs at a time when voters say the state needs an economic jumpstart. NBC News has more details.
As he seeks a second term.
According to a law enforcement report, Angela Chow, a shipping industry CEO and sister-in-law to U.S. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, was intoxicated when she drove into a pond and died last month in Texas. Chow died on the night of... Still ahead. Welcome back. More than 420,000 people have participated in the government's colorectal cancer or CRC screening program since it was launched 8 years ago. For every 100 people tested, more than 8 have been found to have tumors or cancer. The government has urged eligible residents to join the program for cancer prevention and treatment. Timothy Lee tells us more. Antiviral treatment can inhibit replication of the hepatitis B virus, but a medical research team from the Chinese University of Hong Kong said doctors should consider the health condition of chronic hepatitis B patients when prescribing antiviral drugs. That's because the team discovered that one type of antiviral drug can lead to higher bone fracture risks among patients. Mimosa Ngai reports.
To avoid fractures, the research team said the elderly can take several measures, such as consuming sufficient calcium, vitamin D, and protein to support bone health and muscle growth. Mimosa Ngai, TVB News.
A new collection of artifacts dating back to China's Song and Yuan dynasties will be on display to the public at Sung Wong Toi MTR station tomorrow. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken will travel to Israel this week amid souring relations between the two countries. The visit comes amid a flurry of calls, planned trips by the U.S. and Israeli officials, and public airings of severe disagreements over the state of conflict in Gaza. Blinken is expected to discuss ways to secure the release of more than 100 hostages still held by Hamas after their attack on Israel on October 7th. Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu held talks with leading U.S. Republicans as he looks for support away from the Biden administration. Nazvi Karim with more. Today is the last day of Foreign Minister Wang Yi's visit to Australia. He met with former Australian Prime Minister Paul Keating, who had earlier criticized Canberra's military pact with the US and the UK. SakuraIp reports from Sydney, Australia.
Foreign Minister Wang Yi said he's most impressed by how supportive all Australian sectors are on the strengthening of bilateral relations and cooperations in various fields. He will conclude his 5-day trip to New Zealand and Australia and head back to China this evening.
That's the news. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.